I think this is like late 2008, early 2009. I had left the job doing telemarketing, and I was in a fraternity at UC Irvine, SAE. I had to buy a set of letters. So it's like a sweater that has the embroidered letters of the fraternity for my little bro. And I think I had like 80 or $90 in my bank account, and the sweater was like $70. And I was like, yo, I can't afford this thing right now. So I had a history in clothing and apparel because my parents had a clothing manufacturing company downtown. So I saw the sweater and I thought to myself, this can't be too hard to make.
What's up, everybody? Armand here, back with another episode. Today's guest, we have Kevan Sadigh. He's the founder of Rex Reservations, and he's been starting companies since he was in college. Kevin's truly a pioneer of remote work, doing it since back, 2014. And we talk about a lot of great things in this episode. The one that stuck out to me the most is optimizing processes, how to know which process to optimize, when to do it. And I'll give you the hint. The biggest tip is optimize processes that put money in your bank account. Pretty awesome tip. We talk a bit about traveling. That's a hobby of his. And he's really looking forward to getting into kite surfing. It's gnarly, dude. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Play Hard Podcast.
Work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard.
Kevin, what's up? How you doing?
Good, Armand. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. It's been a minute. We were hanging out a couple months ago, out in Temecula area.
I hope that you've been practicing your line dancing skills.
I have. I'm trying to make it out to Miami. Actually, I was talking to Zeke. I'm trying to be a digital nomad for a tiny bit and spend a month out there.
This is the place to be. Highly recommended. So
yeah, I hear
Miami's tons of founders that moved here. The vibe is good. People are hardworking. It's just a really great energy. You can feel it.
Yeah, I've heard another thing is that it's becoming very entrepreneurial. It's becoming very like a good melting pot for a lot of startups and founders.
It's easy to do work here. The city has your back. So as soon as I moved here, I hit up the mayor's office and they said, hey, whatever we can do to support you. Here are events that are going on. Here are groups.
Wow.
Here are meetups. Here are groups of developers if you need developers. We have an agency who will give you grants if you get office space and you start hiring people in Miami. So like right away, they start hitting you with offers on ways to help. And I was like, damn, this didn't exist in LA. Like,
yeah,
you don't even know, you can't even get an appointment at the office. You can't even get somebody to pick up the phone.
Yeah, they got so many problems.
Yeah.
Wait, so what gave you the idea to hit up the mayor's office? And I really love that you said the city has your back. It seems like 100%. They were giving you options for developers, employees, events. That's pretty awesome. But what had you reach out?
So I had just seen, on Twitter, I had seen a lot of support. And then I ended up connecting with somebody in my building, actually. And he's the one who said, hey, I have some contacts here. You should reach out. The city is really good about helping new startups, get situated here in Miami. So I got connected and I hit them up and they've been super helpful.
Yeah. And for the listener, this is Kevan Sadigh. He's the founder of Rex Reservations, and he's had a whole history his entire life of doing startup companies. It kind of, I've been hanging out with him. So that's why the intro, it's a little tougher to do the formal intro, but thanks for coming on, Kevin.
My pleasure, man. Thanks for having me. It was a long path before starting Rex, and hopefully we'll touch on a little bit of it, but some twists and turns along the way for sure.
Yeah. You want to touch on that now? We can just start with your history and then go into Rex.
Yeah, sure. So I've had one quote unquote job, and that was in college. I was doing equipment financing, telemarketing for like almost a bank that did financing for equipment. And so that was a 9-month period. It was my introduction to the casual work attire, the cubicle, all that kind of stuff. Rolled into I think a 6 to 9 month period, and then I exited the workforce and started my own things from there. So
just the name of that is a snore, man. I see why you left.
Equipment financing, telemarketing. Financing. It wasn't so fun. So it was like 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. while I was in college. I'd miss a bunch of class, but I made pretty good money. So I tried to schedule my classes Tuesday, Thursday. I had Monday, Wednesday, Friday work. So I tried to kind of balance that, hit 5 hours each of those days, and I got back to college life. It was a good experience. I mean, I didn't love the work, but the idea of like waking up at 6:30, getting to the office by 7, those kinds of things, teach discipline early on. So I'm fortunate for that experience, but truthfully, it sucked. Right? Like, and the work sucked.
Yeah. Telemarketing, was that just a bunch of cold calling?
Yeah. We had a system. You click the button, it tells you the next one to call, and it auto dials for you, and then you take notes. And you had competitions who makes the most calls, who gets the most sales. I got pretty good at it after a couple months, so the money was decent, but it's just not very creative, not very fun.
Are you still making cold calls now?
I feel like you always have to be making cold calls. Yeah, even in Rex now, I'm making cold calls for sure. You always want to be making cold calls because you never know who you're going to reach out. It does suck, but it's such a high leverage way to get to break into a market, to make a new deal, to start making more money in a new way. So
yeah, I've heard that's consistent throughout. I've heard a lot of people mention how cold calling does really impact results, especially when you're starting on that early on growth phase, and not many people kind of recognize your name. Even when they do, like, you still got to reach out.
The reality is, doing things that suck move the needle. Cold calling, it's a drag. It's a hit to your ego. It's tough to get rejected, but at the end of the day, it really does work wonders, right?
Yeah.
You just need a couple of deals. So kind of back to the timeline, I think this is like late 2008, early 2009. I had left the job doing telemarketing, and I was in a fraternity at UC Irvine, SAE. And
shout out
to the SAE boys. I didn't have any money to my name. I think I'd spent all the money that I made from the previous job. I had to buy a set of letters. So it's like a sweater that has the embroidered letters of the fraternity for my little bro. I think I had like 80 or $90 in my bank account, and the sweater was like $70. And I was like, I can't afford this thing right now. So I had a history in clothing and apparel because my parents had a clothing manufacturing company downtown. So I saw the sweater and I thought to myself, this can't be too hard to make, right?
Yeah.
This can't be too hard to just get made. Like, there's no way this thing costs $70. So I actually set out to get it made custom. So I hit up some contractors and I said, I pretended like I had a business. I said, I'm looking for a contractor to make me some of these. Can you make me a sample? So I got a sample done. I actually got it done for free. I didn't have to pay anything because they want to earn the business. And
you're like, here, little bro, here's your sweater.
Yeah, I got the sweater in, and then I started to kind of think about how that could be a business. I said, look, they're charging $70 for this. This guy is going to charge $25 all in to get these things done. So I started the business. I grabbed a buddy of mine who was in the fraternity. Me and him became partners, and we started what became Greek Life Inc. on the college campus my senior year. And the business boomed really quickly. We hustled. We got our first orders by creating a paper order form. We didn't have a website. This is 2009. We knew we needed a website, but we didn't have one yet.
Damn, you were doing this in the middle of the crash, huh? That's sick.
Which I'll get to. I think it was the best time to start a business. The best time to start a business was a crash, and we had a lot of good opportunities because of that. So yeah, this is like December 2008, January 2008, roughly. Yeah. So kind of the trough, right?
Yeah.
Things were bad that time. Prospects for getting jobs out of college were tough. So we started this business. True. That's what they were telling us. They were like, hey, by the way, don't get your hopes up. When you graduate, we're graduating in a year. The job market is really tough. And so we're like, F that.
So that kind of fueled you. Yeah. You're like, okay, I have to do this now. If I'm probably not getting a job on the other side.
Yeah. So what are you going to do? Just go apply for jobs with everybody else graduating and they're telling you right now that nobody's really hiring. It was a bad path. So we started this company. We made these paper order forms in the computer lab because they had Adobe Illustrator, which is, by the way, way too expensive for us to afford. So we used a computer lab. We made a paper order form. We printed like 1,000 copies at the computer lab. And then we started handing these out to, our friends, the fraternities, sororities. And instead of charging 70, we charge 50 for, everything all in, all the embroidery you can get on your sleeve, on the hood, all the customizations you want. 50 all in was our offer. And orders started coming in. They'd hit us up. People would draw out their letters on the paper order form. They give it to us. We take it to our guy once a week. We give him, first week we gave him 5 orders. Next Friday we drive over, pick it up, give him 10 orders. We did this on, and the orders started picking up. Then we started doing group orders where like the entire sorority would be like, oh, we need 40 of them. We need 50 of them. The whole pledge class needs to match. So then we started getting orders in that for like 2,000, 3,000. And we started saving up. Yeah. Then we graduated. We graduated. And that summer is sort of when I got my first introduction to technology, websites, things like that. We built the website, right? So we said, hey, look, we got this paper order form. We're doing well. Everyone can customize it. But now that we're off campus and we want to grow across the country, we need a website. So we spent probably 8 to 10 hours a day for the whole summer figuring out how to use, at that time, Shopify wasn't as big as it is now. They were like a baby company and you could barely do anything with it. There was a company called Volution. Volution was the Shopify of the 2010s. So anyways, we customized it. We made a business out of it. Everything worked well. We started, marketing online. We started getting orders from different schools. I grew that business for 4 to 5 years. And then I sold it to my partner, actually. Main reason being I was commuting an hour to work and an hour back from LA to Long Beach. I hated the commute. So I sold the business in 2013.
For anyone who's never experienced LA traffic, don't.
I made a promise after selling that business that I'll never commute again. And I've been in remote work since 2013. So
wow,
quite a long time before it became cool in 2020.
But you a pioneer on remote work and it was really based off of something you just didn't want to do. Wow, that's pretty awesome.
An hour and 15 minutes a day in the car is taxing, each way. So you just feel like you're wasting time. So that was sort of the first biz. And it's kind of crazy when you look back and you realize that you didn't really know anything, but you were just learning on the fly and doing it, which I think is the best way. But it was a great experience. I mean, we learned so many things from how to build websites to accounting to operations. I think when I sold the biz, we had 20 employees. We had bought all the machinery. We had a warehouse.
That's sick, dude.
Yeah, we had labor. So we had all the sewing in house. We had all of it. So we actually looked.
Sorry, I was about to cut you off.
I was going to say we actually took a business trip to China in 2010, thinking about like, hey, can we go to China and do our manufacturing there? We took 2 weeks in China. I came back and I said, I hated it there. We're not going to do any manufacturing there. We're going to do everything here. So we got the machines, we got the people. Yeah. Like it was a terrible place to do business and it just didn't feel right. So we brought everything in house after that business trip to China. And the business became so much better because we could say made in USA. We had complete quality control. And it really paid off because everybody was like, oh, they had the best quality products and we could make them much faster. We didn't have to wait for shipments. We had stuff, caught in customs once when we were using a Chinese manufacturer. So we had complete control over our whole operation by bringing everything in house.
What was the shift between just your school and then branching out to like having a website and doing it all over? You were nationwide, right?
Yeah, we were nationwide. It happened slowly. Like I remember like, I think it was September of 2009 when we launched the website. And sometime that week, we got our first order from someone in Washington. And we were like, whoa, that's crazy. Somebody from Washington found our website and ordered. And then we had back then Facebook pages was how you market it. So we had a Facebook page. Not
much has changed.
It was the page specifically though. You try to get people to follow your page. So we'd ask our friends, hey, can you invite all your friends to follow this page? And then that kind of grew. And then they just started trickling in. And then the key was getting a couple of college campus reps at different schools. So we had this one guy at Arizona, U of A, and I guess he was like a social chair of one of the fraternities, and he knew everybody. So this guy was making more money than us. Being a sales rep, he was killing it. He had the whole school ordering from our website. So it was a couple people like that really helped establish outside of our school. I'd say it took 3 to 6 months after we launched the website to kind of disperse.
I heard someone say actually the other day, a business advisor, he said, you want your salespeople to be the highest paid people in the company. And I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's good advice.
You want them, their commissions to be so sweet that they just keep on
I was
selling.
like, what am I doing? I should just go, I want to go back to college and become a salesperson. What are we doing here? So that worked really well.
One thing I noticed you mentioned early on is you kind of intuitively noticed this pain point. To you, it was like, I want to buy this sweater, but I don't have the money. Like, why is everything so expensive? Was that like an active kind of thing? Like, were you thinking, okay, this is a pain point, people will probably pay to get it solved? Or was it just a more natural, like, this could probably be a business?
Yeah, definitely it was a pain point because I saw how much people were spending on it. And I knew that there was a big gap in what it cost. And then I figured if we could just simplify and say, hey, just get unlimited customizations, it'll be such an easy offer that it'll work well. So it was kind of a combination of those things. And my buddy who I pitched the idea to, he kind of was like, hey, this is a good idea. Let's pursue it. So he kind of kicked my butt to get it started. And then once we put it on the market, people were like, yeah, we want to order stuff right away. So it just kind of clicked right away.
Yeah. I realized after I asked the question, what like the main thing I was trying to ask is you always kind of had this entrepreneurial side to you versus you kind of stumble into it. This was something like, this was an active, you knew you were looking, you were like, okay, this is a business. Let me pull together some partners and see what we can do. Yeah.
I always knew I was going to do my own thing. Even when I was in the telemarketing job, I knew I was going to do my own thing. My parents were entrepreneurs. So I grew up in that world. So I never really had another thought about like not being an entrepreneur. That was always the only option for me. Totally.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. What about Rex now? What are you doing with Rex?
So Rex is a software as a service company. Our mission is to create more fun by connecting people to unique experiences. So what that means is we've created a reservation technology for activities, games, and events. So think bowling, golfing, shuffleboard, ping pong, mini golf, all this kind of stuff. Basically anything that's not a traditional restaurant, Rex powers their online reservations. So I like to say, open table for activities and games is kind of the one.
That's a great way of putting it. I like that.
So it's been a whirlwind. It's been really fun. It's been really challenging. I think we're onto something really good here. It's myself and my brother, who's my co-founder. And
shout out Joshua.
Right now we're in growth mode. We're trying to get more venues on the platform. We're in build mode. We're building a lot of things. We're adding a lot of things. And it's been 2 years now, but it's been an unbelievable experience. I always kind of knew after Greek life, my takeaway was this is great running your own business. The hardest part of that was labor management and creating a physical product. So I always knew my next business, I wanted to be fully digital, especially because I had a commitment to be remote.
Yeah.
So, I figured this, software as a service companies are, the new business model that are kind of the standard, but it allows you to be completely flexible, completely mobile, and just create something digitally that the previous business where you have a physical location doesn't allow you to do.
Yeah. And I think that's very true in the sense that with physical products, you're limited to the supply chain versus now you're limited to like your knowledge of creating this app.
Yeah. And back then,
website.
Back then we didn't have drop shipping services or all that kind of stuff. I know a lot of people have drop shipping businesses that they don't have to touch the product and they just make a fancy website. We didn't have any of that back then. You had to have a warehouse and you had to ship product. But yeah, man, Rex has been great. It's really cool because the company was born like middle of pandemic in late 2020, early 2021. And we kind of charged full force again, in an industry that was quote unquote, dead at the time, hospitality and entertainment. We knew that it was coming back. We knew that it was going to be a big part of people's lives, and it wasn't going anywhere. So we were like, hey, look, we believe that people need to hang out in real life. People need to have fun. They need to go out. They can't be staying home. And so we just continued to put our heads down and develop it during that time. It was cool because a lot of the venues we work with were closed or semi-closed, but it gave us this like sandbox environment to be able to test in really easily when the market was kind of shut down. So that's
100%. What I was thinking was when you mentioned Open Table, I remember as I was living in Boston at the time of the pandemic, and as things were opening up, it wasn't you showed up at this restaurant and like you and all your like 12 friends got to hang out. It's like you had to make a reservation because they wanted to limit people and they wanted to make sure that the virus wasn't spreading. So it made me think that like you had a really great testing opportunity that you could go to these guys and say, hey, I know you're going to start opening doors soon. Why don't you limit up that amount by putting them in a reservation?
Yeah, and we already had those capabilities. Hey, X amount of people every half hour, right? And they could set those controls and all that kind of stuff. So we already had that. And then, like you said, after the pandemic, everybody was like, oh, we need to have a reservation and walk in. And that's becoming more and more standard. I think it's only going in that direction. I think there'll be a time when you pretty much always have a reservation for wherever you're going. So I think we're headed in that direction. So I think we're kind of in the right place at the right time.
What differences have you noticed running the business in LA versus now? You very recently moved to Miami. So you were talking a little bit about the like how the city kind of backs you up, but what was it like moving halfway through starting this and kind of living in an entirely different city?
Yeah, it wasn't too big of a change for me because in general, our team is remote. So I have developers all around the world. I have salespeople that are spread out across the states. So from that side of it, it wasn't too challenging. I do love being on East Coast time because I feel like you get a couple hours a day extra to to work with your West Coast peers. So it's like by 7 a.m., 8 a.m., maybe you've got an hour of work done, and like everyone's still asleep in LA, and you feel like you're being so productive. But yeah, for me, the keys were just being able to be in a place where I could be efficient with my day. So the gym is like 9 floors below me. So I'm at the gym there. I got plenty of lunch options. I can cook here. So I've sort of created a very efficient way, day to day to get work done. So I wouldn't say there was too much change from LA. I still go back and forth quite a bit, but it's been just nice. Like we talked about earlier, when you travel, you get a new perspective. You're in a new city, you're meeting new types of people, you're getting new kinds of ideas. I'd say that's probably been the biggest thing.
And throughout your growth phase, what are some things you've learned that works well on growing and scaling a company?
So we're probably not at scale yet, so I'm working on it. But what I will say is having some process and infrastructure to scale early on helps. The caveat there being, don't try and over optimize for it right away. Because I see like a lot of people, myself included, like, hey, we're going to scale. So we have to do all of these things to be able to scale before we can actually start making money. That I would say throw that out the window, but definitely have it in mind where it's like, if you can create a process early on, do it. Save yourself the time later. Like if you can just save that email as a template, it takes 5 minutes. You don't have to write it.
That's a big one that I agree with.
Little scale things, not like huge scale things. Those will come later. Just try and win back some of your time with like little items like that. That's been a game changer.
My Google Drive is stocked with templates on like so many different things.
Yeah. So my unpopular opinion is I don't actually use Google Drive to manage anything anymore because it's hard. It's hard. I try to keep, you try and spend time organizing your folders and this and that.
That is tough. It's kind of like it's kind of like what you're talking about. Organize it early in the beginning, and then it's easier versus you have so many different documents. You're like, where do I put this?
Yeah. And then it's also like, what's your mindset? I think I saw some funny stuff going around Twitter like in the last couple of weeks where like people were making fun of all of the productivity gurus, like have this app for this, have this app for that. I think to some extent all the apps are helpful, but like there's a point of diminishing returns when you're like over optimizing which app to use for what. At the end of the day, it's like try and focus on getting the work done. If you can make a quick process to make it faster the next time, do that right away, and then rinse, repeat.
Dude, I totally agree. I will admit, shamefully a little bit, that I drank the Kool-Aid and I tried following all these productive hacks, and I was getting a headache at how much different things there are to do and how many, like, dude, I'm telling you, for
everybody
a while.
Does.
Yeah,
everybody's
like,
got
I've
into
tried.
it.
But at the same time, I noticed, like, this is my philosophy changed and my productivity changed after this is really just boils down to try different stuff, but like see what works for you. See like the productivity, like I resonate with writing down the 3 things I want to do for my day at night. Cool. That works for me. Other things like Notion, don't know how to use it. Everyone swears by it. I have no fucking clue on Notion, what to do with that. Like, to me, that's just an extra software. Like I prefer writing things down on paper. Yeah. So it's like learning what you work with and then working with that, I guess. That's my life tip.
Look, everybody's been caught up in it, myself included, for years. And then you try and break out of it. Like you can follow someone online and they've got a system, and then you're like, great, that system's good. And then you start to implement it step by step. And then eventually you run into some point where their system's going to be different than yours. Yeah. And then you're like, shit, what do I do now? And then you kind of, the whole thing breaks, and then you stop using it and you're like, all right, let's try the next one. And so then you try the next new productivity wave. So definitely like be organized, be on top of your shit, but like just go get the work done. And then if you can make a little hack, a little process to get it done fast the next time, then even better.
Yeah. What tips would you have on knowing the difference between early on which processes to kind of systemize and keep versus the ones that, you said it's a waste of time to over optimize? How do you kind of find that balance?
Yeah, I'll tell you in one line, and probably a mistake that I made early on. Optimize for getting money in the bank. Anything that's going to get you money in the bank. I like that. If it's going to make you money, then speed that up. If it's not, then don't really worry about it. So anything you can do to make your sales process better. Like I said, if you have sales, emails that you're always writing, make 5 templates and then test them out a couple of times. And that'll accelerate money in the bank. If you have a couple different offers that you're usually sending people, then write them down in a couple different ways. And
contracts, things like that. Yeah,
contracts, use that as a template, right? So like, I noticed like so many times I would get stuck when it came time to ask for the sale or make the offer because I didn't have the process in place. And I was like, oh, I got to do the X, Y, and Z before I make the offer. So like, if you want to spend a little bit of time optimize for what's going to make money for you, what's going to get money in the bank. So optimize your process for collecting money, sending out your invoice really easily and being able to have them click and pay in one click instead of being like, hey, can you mail a check to here or whatever? Here are my ACH details, wired. Like, make it easy for people to pay you. I would say, like, if you want to spend any time optimizing, spend it all on how to collect money.
Yeah, I love that.
Everything else will follow, right?
Keep the finance team happy, and you'll be.
Yeah, I mean, if you need to spin out a Shopify site to collect payments, do it, and just put your product put your whatever your service is as a product, and then send someone the link and say, just buy this, right? So make it easy. So I would say anything you can do to get money in the bank, focus on that.
I love that.
That's the early stage. Always really, but at the early stage.
It's like the most helpful tip I've heard in that category. And I love that it came from something that you learned early on that was a mistake. Yeah. You're like, you know what? I grow revenue. That's what we're doing here.
Get money in the bank. That's how you live, and that's how you grow.
One thing I really liked is that you made a commitment to yourself back when you said, I don't like this drive. I don't love that I'm doing this. I will work remote. Before it was even a thing, before people knew what that was about, you said, I'm making a commitment to work remote because it was something that you didn't want to commute. It was a waste of your time. Do you have any other sets of like personal commitments or principles you've made to yourself that you follow through on your daily life?
At this stage, I think health is the other one. So I'll never let my business or the business growth get in the way of, fitness and health, which I think are more important than everything that we're doing. So that's probably number one now. So it's like, what's it all worth if you're not going to be healthy? So that's the lifelong commitment, I guess, at this stage.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, that's what keeps you in the game longer and keeps you playing.
I think the whole stuff about like grind culture got kind of popular maybe a couple of years back, where you're like, you got to be grinding, you got to be eating shitty food, you got to be like sleeping less. Like I don't really bind it to that stuff. Like I think you should sleep well. I think you should try and eat well. You should hit the gym. You should also work like when it's time to work. But I think the health thing is super important.
Totally agree. To me, it's health, and mental health definitely falls under that umbrella. Is the sleep is a part of keeping your brain healthy, keeping your body healthy, and that's ultimately what leads to the productivity.
Yeah, by all means, you can have sprints. You know, you can have projects that you're working on. And you sleep less during a certain period of time, and you're super focused, and you know, you kind of sprint towards a goal, but it's not sustainable over a long period of time.
Yeah. Do you have any habits that you've kind of built up? Any routines that you live by?
My day is pretty consistent as far as the routines. Yeah. I by the way, I change it up probably every couple of months, just so you don't go crazy. So I'd say like every quarter or so, I probably shake up the routine a bit. And also, if I'm in Miami, the routine is a little different than if I'm in LA. But in general, when I wake up in the morning, I do a quick workout. I try and get some 30 minutes workout in. Then I'll come back and get my like most productive hours in. So like that's sort of like 2 hours uninterrupted in the morning after the workout. From then on, the rest of the day is like you can kind of like have meetings, answer emails, things like that. I do that pretty much all the way through like 5 with lunch included, and I'll hit the gym again at 5. And then the part where it gets kind of tricky is like after the gym, it's like in your head, like you want to maybe get a little bit more work done, or you want to go out or something like that. So that part of it is tough to balance. If you've got a lot of stuff going on, I'll probably hit another hour or so after that. If not, I'll chill or try and go out. But it's pretty consistent in that I try to do 2 active things a day, whether it's a run or work out in the morning, one in the evening. And then I think the most important part is like the 2 hours of uninterrupted deep work. So one of the things I'll do is if you've got an iPhone, you can do downtime on the iPhone. So you can go to your screen settings, and then you can set downtime till 10 a.m. And so then you won't even get all your bullshit notifications till 10 a.m. Like it'll almost be like your phone's off. You'll have a few of them come through and you can make exceptions. Like every time you'll try to use an app and it's like, this app is locked, you can make an exception and add that one, like the calculator or whatever. You're like, no, I need to use my calculator right now. So I think that's been a really
that's making money. That's bringing money in with the calculator. So you keep it that.
So yeah, man, I think downtime's super helpful. Getting that first 2 hours of like uninterrupted work, and then you answer emails, like you do calls, you do meetings, things like that. The day can drag you in a few different directions, but as long as you get that like first kind of core 2 to 3 hours in the morning, you're going to be productive.
Yeah. Now I'm a big fan of the quarterly shake it up. But why is it that you do that? Why is it that you kind of spice it up a little every few months?
I don't shake it up just to do it. I shake it up because either like I've fallen out of the ideal schedule and I've made compromises, and so you just kind of do it again and it keeps you honest. I would say that's the main thing, and then you make a couple of tweaks based on what's happened and what your new life schedule is like. You just want to update. So I think if it's working, you don't want to make too many changes, but everyone, your life is changing. Maybe you're in a relationship now and you weren't before. You have to make updates to that schedule.
Very true.
Right. So you just kind of want to modify to meet where you are in life.
Yeah. For me, it's usually in a period of a rut. Whenever I feel stagnant, whether I'm doing sometimes consistency is a very powerful thing. That's something I believe. It's a lot of consistent actions will get you some great results. But there are times when that consistency kind of feels monotonous and you just get in this mental rut. And that's when I like to introduce variety. Like I've noticed the best thing for getting out of a rut is just doing completely random, wild, different shit, but in your normal daily routine. So like, for example, if you're driving to work, take a different route to work. Like, it's very weird. It's a very small thing, but that kind of shakes things up and adds some sense of different and newness. So like, one thing I like to do is I usually wake up, meditate, journal, go to the gym. I'll start changing the order of that. I'll wake up, go straight to the gym, and then I'll like journal, and then I'll know, like, it just changes things, and that really helps get out of a rut. So that's why I'm a fan of the randomly shaking it up. But I love what you said about updates. Yeah, it's pretty difficult to predict what's going to happen to your life in 3 months, especially if you are trying to achieve so many different things. So just being able to take like a personal audit is important.
Absolutely. I love that. And there's a coach I follow online. His name is Dan Martell. He coaches like SaaS-based. He's got a framework. I think it's called the perfect schedule, something like that. So it's like, I've used that a couple of times where you try and like mark down like what your priorities are in each kind of category between your finances, your relationships, things like that. And then you fit time in a schedule, and you'd be surprised, like when you look at your day in a visual kind of like calendar way, how much time you can fit in if you're actually being, honest and efficient with your time. So
the honest is the hard part.
Yeah, there's frameworks out there. But the idea is like, don't be too hard on yourself, and don't make it rigid. Do an analysis every once in a while. If you're in a rut, like you said, mix it up. Shake something up, do something different, and then tweak it up and optimize and keep pushing. That's the way to do it.
Constantly iterate. What habits have you had to remove from your life that have helped you out?
I think I'm inherently kind of lazy. I like to chill, and then
that's the like, LA side of you.
Yeah, you just like to chill, and then like sometimes if you think like you're so smart that you can do stuff in less time, so you kind of feed your own ego and you get lazy.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the biggest one, where you just can't get too comfortable. So I think that's a habit that I've definitely tried to drop. It's like you get too comfortable. Things got too easy. Everything's in a good place.
Complacency.
Complacency. Yeah, you can chill for a bit. So I would kind of advise against that, because like it lingers when you start to introduce that a bit. It lingers, but when you keep the fire, when you keep the hunger, like it compounds, right?
Yeah.
So it's like either it lingers in one way or it compounds the other way. So you definitely want it to be compounding.
And one thing that I think is super awesome, just because of how close I am with my family, is that your brother is your co-founder and you're working with him a lot. How is it working with your brother, and kind of like, how has that impacted your relationship as well?
Man, it's great. It really is great. So it almost feels like you got another one of you that you can kind of bounce things off of, and you fully trust, and you can get stuff done. Like me and my brother, like we speak almost our own language. So we can communicate.
I remember that.
Yeah, right. We can communicate much faster, much more efficient through looks, through, shorter words. So having that makes things a lot easier. We're able to sit down together and get something done a lot faster because, we know each other's language and things like that. Of course, there are some challenges, and you're kind of always you're always in work mode. So you're always like talking about work, or, there's always something that needs to be done. That's something you definitely have to consider. But I think net, it's a total win if you're able to do it. You want to be able to share the wins with your family and grow something together. I think it's the best.
Totally agree. Have you ever been in a meeting where you just both look at each other and go, without saying words, deals off, not doing it?
All the time. We know each other's, like, we can read each other so easily with one glance or something like that. Where like it's hard not to laugh in a situation like that where you know what the other person's thinking. So it's nice to have that for sure.
Yeah, that's so sweet, man.
Yeah,
that's very lucky. Yeah, that's the dream, dude. All right. So talked about hobbies a little bit. Now, what about any creative outlets? Do you have anything that you like to do kind of on the creative side?
It's been a while since I've done it, and it's been kind of creeping up again that I want to try it again. But it's stand-up comedy.
Really? You did that?
It's something. A couple of years ago, I got the itch to try it, so I signed up for a class, and at the end of the class, kind of like the culmination was to do a 5-minute bit at the improv. And so you kind of like putting together everything you learned. That process is fun and very challenging. I mean, it's one of the cooler things that I've done, like really feels like you feel an accomplishment when it's done, because you had to spend hours writing it, kind of crafting how to say it. Even though I haven't done it in a while, like you always, have stuff in the back of your head, and you're trying to craft like little one-liners or punchy things like that. That keeps you kind of creative. That's been a fun one. And then the other one I would say is writing. I don't really publish a lot of writing. I probably should, but writing, thoughts and ideas, I think is super helpful to be creative. I'd say those are the two. Yeah.
Dude, I love writing. I could talk about that for days, but onto stand-up comedy. I think that is such a fascinating art. And I think like some of the most vulnerable things that you can possibly do, putting yourself out there, is, in my opinion, singing and stand-up comedy. But the thing about those two is singing, you can practice alone and get good on your own before you get in front of people. Stand-up comedy, you have to practice in front of people, because like you might think it's hilarious, nobody would laugh. Like you can practice delivery by yourself, yes, but you really need to practice it in front of people and get like the crowd's reaction. So you're just, talk about rejection proofing, bro. You're just putting yourself out there. It's
very hard. I was so nervous when I did it. I think like when I first went out, I kind of forgot the first sentence, and then it kind of came back to me, and I settled down a bit, but it's nerve-wracking for sure.
Yeah.
But that's pretty sweet. The cool thing about stand-up in general is like, the comedic side is one thing, but like the observational side and being able to articulate interesting things that you see in the world and, bite that down to a one-liner is actually very challenging. And so that exercise in itself is a cool creative process to try and distill down ideas or things that you think are interesting or weird, and then kind of breaking that down. So it's like from the communication side of things, it helps you improve, the way you communicate, the way you exchange ideas.
That alone's a great writing exercise. And I would be willing to wager that helps kind of boil down your mission. Like you're doing this big, crazy like ideas, but to be able to say it into one sentence or like a tagline, you need to be able to distill that in as simple and clear and concise as possible. Maybe you're not putting as much humor for your company's mission, but the concept's kind of there.
Yeah, look, and this is like why memes have become so popular in our culture now, because really, what is a meme? It's like a lot of information in a picture or a small thing, and you're giving the information. So it's become a more efficient way of communicating, because you can send a meme to someone, they'll know, it'll be like you told them a story, right? And they'll know what you think about it.
That's so cool. Yeah.
So that's the reason, memes are really efficient. And so comedy is a part of that, right? It's a subsect of that, to be able to kind of take a whole idea, boil it down into a one-liner, and then deliver that. And then people are like, oh, he thinks that, and he also thinks that, and I also think that, and then that's funny. Right. Yeah. So it's like 4 or 5 things in one.
That's so true with the memes, dude. Sometimes you can send the picture without any caption, and that'll tell you everything you need to know.
Memes are the most efficient way that we've come up with to exchange ideas and information right now, for better or for worse. That I don't know, but we know for sure it's efficient.
So on to traveling. You love traveling. This is when I first heard that you were doing remote before everyone. It was when you and your brother were talking about your trip. You guys just took a couple months to travel, backpack around Europe, but you were still grinding and working. What got you interested to travel in the first place, and what are some cool places?
My parents, we traveled a lot as kids. So I would say we got lucky. My parents always wanted to plan trips when we were kids. So we did quite a bit of traveling, into our teenage years. And so when we got older, we just kind of kept it going. I would say we had like the passion to travel, but then we also were like good at it, because you can travel, but you can get hit. Like you can get pretty hard if you're not organized, or if you're if you haven't planned it, and then your trip can be a disaster, right? So we realized that we're pretty good at traveling, me and my brother. So once the business was running remotely and we're able to kind of manage it that way, the idea was, let's go explore new spots. I think the first trip we took was in 2016 to Budapest, and we just wanted to explore a new city. And I think we spent a month there. We actually designed a first version of some product that we were developing at that time while we were there. So it was really cool. That went well. And from then on, we started adding more trips and said, like, every year, let's try and do a couple of weeks, outside of our normal day to day. Look, there is a cost. I'm not going to pretend like you have the same level of productivity, but the benefit is, like we talked about earlier, you get a new perspective and you kind of come back energized and refreshed.
Yeah. I think when you balance out what you're getting from the cost, number one, you do got to be organized, because a bad trip or a trip when you're just
another one.
Yeah, you're gonna be way too focused on the things not going well to actually enjoy it and get the benefits of traveling. But I think, traveling, getting that shift in perspective. Talk about breaking out of your rut, bro. When your whole environment is in a different language, you're gonna be like on a different wavelength. But it'll definitely help in the long run, and it helps expand your perspective, give you different ideas, different,
Just get out in the water if you can, get in the ocean. It's always a nice way to break things up.
Yeah, dude, you went from one coast to the other, but you picked some of the most beautiful cities. Stay by the water. That's been my thing.
I'm looking at Texas now.
Really?
We'll see. We'll see.
What city?
I don't know yet, but something interesting is happening with Texas, in that, like, there's a good workforce there. People want to work. It's inexpensive. So I don't have any sights set on it yet, but I think it's super interesting. What's happening.
You just got to Miami like last month.
In Austin and in Dallas. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. I got a trip to Austin coming up soon. Actually, I'm really excited. I want to check it out.
Is it like a bachelor party or what's going on?
No, it's just some homies.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just some friends. We're checking it out. We were gonna go during the F1 race, actually, coming up, but the schedules couldn't align. I was so bummed, dude. I really wanted to check it out for the race.
Yeah, Austin's a fun city, especially like younger. I felt a little old when I was there a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, it's like it's meant for people who want to go out to bar hopping and drinking. So it's like that's the vibe. It's a cool spot. Good food too.
So you were talking a little about the hobbies that you've been getting into, kind of trying out in Miami, and the one that stuck out to me was kite surfing. What interests you? How did you find out about kite surfing? What got you into this?
I just see videos on Instagram and it looks so cool, and I'm like, I might one day be able to do that. So
yeah,
I haven't started yet, but I'll let you know if I'm able to even get a little bit of air.
Yeah,
it seems like a challenge. It looks amazing. So there's a spot, not too far from here that does lessons. I think I'm going to pick it up in the next month or two.
Dude, definitely send that. That'd be sweet.
I'll send you a video if I can get in the air. If not, then it might take a couple extra months.
Yeah, we'll post it on the podcast website.
Yeah.
This is what founders are up to now.
Yeah, they say it takes like 13 to 15 hours of instruction before you can actually like get on the thing and be like functional on it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
See how it goes.
And then you've also been getting into tennis and golf. How's that been going for you?
Yeah, so the golf thing is interesting. We work with a lot of companies in the golf space.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I told Josh, my brother, we need to pick up golf if we're going to have all these golfing clients. So
it's very true.
It just feels like the right thing to do. We haven't started yet. I played a couple of years ago. I probably haven't picked up a club in like 6 years, but I played a little bit, maybe in the last decade. So I'm like, I need to pick it up again. We'll see. We'll see how rusty I am.
Yeah. And you like that better than tennis, I'm guessing.
I'm just not very good at tennis.
Dude, all the things you're mentioning.
I'm just not very good at tennis, but again, tennis looks fun. I played basketball growing up. It's very different sports, but it's funny. In my bedroom overlooks a tennis court, so I see people playing tennis all day, and it looks pretty easy. So I'm like, maybe I can figure this out.
Dude, all the things you're mentioning, I feel like are tons of fun, but take like a good bit of commitment in the beginning to actually get comfortable with. And that getting to there is so frustrating. Like I've heard time and time again with golf, something I want to pick up, but haven't yet. And I hear it takes like a solid year to actually get like to a comfortable swing.
Yeah, you just need to go with people who are like a little bit on your level and a little bit better.
Yeah.
Not like too much better where like it's annoying
not fun.
for them. Yeah. For you to play with them. And so like you do that with the right group and then you kind of get better together and then you can go to another group, get a little bit better. But yeah, I think the idea is like not to worry too much about how good you are, but if you're having fun and if you're making a social thing out of it. So like out here in Miami, tennis is super social, golf super social. Like you can just get people together and go out and play. And
yeah,
if you're not very good, you're not very good. It's all good.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, Kev, thank you so much for coming on. I have a couple closing questions and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, you got it.
These are more chill questions. So first of all is what kind of music do you listen to?
All right. So I listen to like 6 to 8 hours of music a day. So a lot of different stuff from.
Yeah. Wow. Really?
Yeah. So music is a big part of the day to day. Josh is very good at curating the beats. I say
and cooking, dude. That guy shout out the steaks he made.
He did make us some good steaks that day. That was
some of the best. That Brontosaurus leg, dude. That thing was huge.
Yeah. So music wise, I think like progressive and deep house. Some of the more common rap. Now moving into like more unique stuff like Afro beats, like Burna Boy. Big Burna Boy fan. And that kind of Afro beats I like. And then something new that I've been getting into is ethno house. So ethno house is more like Arabic, Middle Eastern beats on house music, and so it feels like very natural or like ancestral to me. So that's something that I've been getting.
You got the
into.
ties. It's like me listening to reggaeton.
Yeah, exactly. You feel at home.
It's got a taste of home. Yeah, it's got a taste of home.
Yeah, so ethno house is a new one that I've been doing. I do a lot of like, just progressive and melodic house. Believe it or not, I like country music. I don't listen to it all the time, but I do like country music quite a bit. It's always fun. And then reggae
nice.
Is fun too. So I try and mix it up. Because when you listen to so much music, it just gets old.
The pattern, the repetitive. Yeah. I want to check out ethno house. That sounds cool. And as for country, to me, I feel like what I've noticed, the time I love listening to country the most is if I'm ever on a boat on a lake. For some reason, on a boat on a lake is to me where I listen to country music. Totally random, but
I gotta get you on melodic house on a boat on a lake. It's even better. Country's pretty good, but melodic house is like
all right.
Stuff above. Yeah, but I hear you on that one,
dude. When I go out to Miami, it'll be soon. What are some movies or TV shows that you recommend?
This is gonna sound bad. I don't recommend any movies or TV shows. I did watch Better Call Saul. I like that one. I was a big Breaking Bad fan. I think that's worth a watch. Outside of that, let's see, new ones that I did watch. I think it's called Winning Time. Winning Time, if you're a Lakers fan or
dude,
NBA
that
fan,
was a good one.
Super interesting, done in a fun way that it wasn't like too much of a documentary style.
Yeah,
I thought that was fun. Last movie I watched was Top Gun. Top Gun was pretty dope, actually.
Dude, I was a fan.
Was pretty good. Yeah,
I watched it in theaters twice. I'll say that. I'll admit it.
So I watched the original one on the airplane this last time I was flying. So now I've rounded out the series there.
Yeah, you felt like you were in it. What books are you reading right now?
What books am I reading? I'm reading a book, The Way of the Superior Man. It's an interesting one. It's about I've
actually read that before.
Yeah, it's a good one. Just life, love, that, kind of
like healthy masculinity.
Having a healthy masculine energy. Exactly. I'm reading a book by Alex Hormozi, $100 Million Offers. That's a good one. Pretty straight up, no BS content.
Yeah.
I usually like to pick up, a book a week, something like that. Typically something around like psychology or money. Those are probably the two. So, yeah, psychology and like kind of life wellness, or something like specifically business related that I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, dude. A couple guests have actually recommended $100 Million Offers. So like they preached it so well that I actually picked up the book, and I haven't opened it yet, but I really look forward to reading it. I hear it's got like a lot of valuable stuff in there.
Yeah, I'll probably finish it this weekend. It's pretty straightforward. It's a short book. It's no bullshit. I think it's definitely like if you're just getting into business or starting out, super, super valuable. Like cut through the noise kind of stuff.
Sweet. And final question is, where can people find you and Rex Reservations?
Yeah, so our website is reservewithrex.com. Myself personally, I'm at Kevan on Instagram. I don't really have too much of a Twitter presence yet. We'll see maybe the next time. But yeah, reservewithrex.com and at Kevan on Instagram.
Sweet. Kev, thank you very much for this conversation. It was great having you.
Armand, a pleasure. See you out here in Miami soon.
Yeah, very soon. All right, peace.
Later.